Have you ever been so swamped at work that you desperately needed help, but you were kind of terrified to even ask your boss? Well, we're going to break down how one employee, a guy named Tony, handled this exact situation with a really smart negotiation strategy. So, does this feel familiar? That feeling of having way too much on your plate. You're not alone, but asking for help can feel like you're admitting you can't hack it. So, what's the right way to go about it without looking like you can't handle your job?
Okay, so first, let's really get into the problem itself. Because being overworked isn't just about feeling stressed out. It's a strategic challenge you have to navigate.
So, let's meet Tony. He's a great employee, totally capable, but his workload has just gotten out of control. It's just not sustainable. He knows he has to talk to his boss, but he also knows that how he kicks off that conversation, well, it's going to make all the difference.
All right, this is where things get interesting. Let's break down Tony's first move. See, he doesn't just march into his boss's office and start complaining. Nope, he has a plan.
Just look at this. It's a small change in words, but it is a massive shift in perspective. If he says, "I'm overworked," it sounds like a personal problem, like he can't keep up. But Tony is smart. He says, "We're understaffed." And boom, suddenly it's not his problem anymore, it's a team problem.
And that is the absolute core of his strategy. He turns his personal stress into a business problem. This totally changes the dynamic. Now, his boss isn't judging his performance. Instead, his boss is invited to be a partner in solving a business issue. It's not about Tony's limits, it's about the company's resources. So smart.
But of course, it's never that easy, is it? Even with the perfect opening, you're probably gonna hit a roadblock. Tony knew he had to be ready for the boss's pushback, that classic, inevitable no.
And yep, there it is. The boss's first response is no. This is the moment of truth in any negotiation, right? Do you just give up and walk away? Or do you have a plan B?
So, why do bosses do this? Well, it almost always boils down to one of two things. First, lack of resources. That means money, people, or just time. Or you get the other classic, the timing is not right, which, let's be honest, is often just a nice way to say no without really saying no.
You got to remember, these objections aren't solid walls. They're just the standard moves in the negotiation playbook. Once you know what they are, you can start figuring out how to get around them. And you better believe Tony was ready for this.
And this, right here, is where all of Tony's preparation pays off big time. He doesn't get frustrated by the no, he doesn't argue, he just pivots and offers up a brilliant compromise.
Now, before we see his move, let's just be clear on what we mean by compromise. It's not about one person winning and the other losing. It's about finding a solution in the middle, a win-win, where both people can agree.
So what's Tony's genius idea? It is beautifully simple. He suggests hiring an intern. Think about it. This isn't a full-time, expensive new hire. It's a low-cost, low-risk fix that can provide help right away without a massive long-term commitment.
And I love the way he phrases this. He asks for something to take some of the weight off my shoulders. That's not a demand. It's a very human appeal. It's language that creates empathy and makes his boss want to help him. This is just perfect. Look at how elegantly his idea solves both of his boss's main objections. The boss says we lack resources. Well, an intern is low cost. The boss says the timing is bad. An intern is low risk because it's not permanent. He literally dismantled every single reason to say no.
And the result? Success. The boss calls the idea reasonable, and that is the magic word you're looking for. It means the solution is fair, it makes sense, and it addresses all the concerns. Tony didn't win an argument. He found common ground.
And hey, just so we're all on the same page here, an intern is typically a student or someone who just graduated. They're looking to get some experience, usually for a short period. This is exactly why the idea was so low risk and so appealing to the company. So, what can we learn from Tony's big win? It really comes down to this simple three-step playbook. First, frame your problem as a team problem, not just your problem. Second, think ahead and anticipate the objections. It's almost always about money or timing. And third, come prepared with a smart, low-risk compromise that actually solves your boss's problems too.
Ultimately, Tony's story shows us that asking for help isn't about weakness. It's about finding a better way to work for everyone. Which leaves me with one last question for you to think about. What's the best, most creative compromise you've ever managed to pull off?